Hey, today we're diving into a topic that hits close to home for a lot of people: dealing with a difficult boss. Whether your manager is demanding, dismissive, or just plain impossible to please, it can feel like you're navigating a minefield. But don't worry, I've got you covered. By the end of this video, you'll have the strategies you need to turn things around and make work feel a little less like an episode of Survivor, Office Edition. So, what makes a boss difficult? Maybe they never seem satisfied, no matter how hard you work. Or they micromanage every little thing you do. Or they don't give you any feedback until it's negative. It's stressful, right? But here's the thing. Every difficult manager has a reason for their behavior. And once you understand why they act the way they do, you can change the way you respond and regain some control in the process. Let's kick things off with a simple but powerful truth. It's not about you. I know. It feels personal when your boss is breathing down your neck about every little detail, but often, difficult managers are driven by their own anxieties, pressures, and expectations. Maybe they're under pressure from their boss, or maybe they're insecure about their own role. Understanding this doesn't mean you have to put up with it, but it can help you shift from frustration to strategy. Here's the first strategy that will save you a ton of headaches: clarify expectations. You'd be surprised how many conflicts with managers come down to a simple mismatch in expectations. If your boss is constantly changing their mind or acting like your work isn't hitting the mark, sit down with them and ask, what does success look like for you on this project? Be specific. Ask for examples, details, and clear metrics. It shows that you care about meeting their expectations, and it gives you a roadmap to follow. Now, I know what you're thinking. What if your boss still keeps moving the goalposts? That's where documenting everything comes into play. And I mean everything. When you have a meeting or receive instructions, follow it up with an email summarizing what was discussed and agreed upon. Something like, hey, just to confirm, you wanted me to focus on X and deliver it by Y, correct? This isn't about being a brown noser. It's about creating a paper trail. It's hard for a manager to claim you misunderstood when you have their instructions in writing. And here's another tip that might sound a little unconventional. Mirror their communication style. Think about it. Does your boss value brief, to-the-point updates, or do they prefer detailed explanations? Do they like emails, or do they always drop by your desk for a chat? By adapting your style to match theirs, you're reducing friction. It's like speaking their language, and it can make them feel like you're on the same page. But what if the real issue is that your manager just never seems to notice your efforts? This could be incredibly demotivating. The solution? Self-advocate strategically. When you're dealing with a difficult boss, you can't assume that your hard work will speak for itself. You've got to give it a voice. But here's the key. Don't just brag about what you did. Frame it in terms of how it benefits them or the team. For example, instead of saying, I finished the report early, try, I wrapped up the report ahead of time, so we can review it before the client meeting. It shifts the focus from what you've accomplished to how it helps the team or the project. Let's talk about another classic problem: micromanagement. There's nothing more frustrating than having your boss constantly looking over your shoulder. The trick here is to flip the script. Instead of waiting for them to check in on every detail, give them updates before they even ask. It might feel like overcommunication, but it does two things. It shows that you're on top of your work, and it gives them less reason to hover over you. It's like feeding a hungry bird. You give them what they want so they stop pecking. Now, here's a crucial one. Don't take the bait. Some managers are difficult because they like to challenge or push people, almost like they're testing you. Maybe they make snide comments, or they criticize your work in front of others. It's tempting to react defensively, but here's the secret. Don't engage emotionally. They're expecting you to push back, to get flustered. Instead, take a deep breath, stay calm, and respond with, I hear what you're saying. Can you give me more specific feedback so I can improve next time? It's professional, and it puts the ball back in their court. Plus, it shows that you're focused on solutions, not drama. But what if you've tried everything, and your boss is still making your work life miserable? That's when it's time to know your walkaway point. Look, I get it. Quitting a job isn't always an option, but you need to know where your boundaries lie. What behaviors are you willing to tolerate, and what's unacceptable? Having this clarity can actually reduce stress because it gives you a sense of control over the situation. If you know that you have a line in the sand, Whether that's finding a new role within the company or starting to look elsewhere, you'll feel less trapped and more empowered. And here's a tip that's often overlooked: get support from allies. You don't have to handle a difficult manager on your own. Find a mentor within the company or build relationships with other managers or co-workers who can provide perspective and advice. Sometimes a little outside validation can remind you that it's not you, it's them. Plus, if things do escalate, having allies who understand your side of the story can make a big difference. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. What if your manager is playing games? You know the type. They say one thing and mean another. They promise you opportunities that never materialize, or they use subtle manipulation to keep you off balance. This is where your social intelligence comes in. Pay attention to the patterns. If they're constantly changing their story, don't call them out directly. Instead, ask clarifying questions. Last week, you mentioned that X was a priority. Has that changed? This puts them on the spot without making it confrontational, and it makes it harder for them to wiggle out of their own inconsistencies. Look, no one's saying this is easy. Dealing with a difficult manager can make every day feel like a battle. But the more tools you have, the less powerless you'll feel. It's about shifting the dynamic, playing smarter, and not letting their behavior dictate your mindset. So, to wrap things up, clarify expectations, document everything, mirror their communication style, self-advocate strategically, give them what they need to stop micromanaging, stay calm under pressure, know your walkaway point, and build a network of support. If you master these strategies, you'll find that dealing with a difficult boss doesn't have to be a nightmare. It can actually be an opportunity to grow, learn, and show what you're truly capable of. If you found these tips helpful, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this video with someone who's struggling with their own office challenge. Remember, you're not alone, and with the right strategies, you can handle even the toughest boss. Stay sharp, stay resilient, and I'll catch you in the next video.